AITA for prioritizing sentiment over practicality, potentially destroying my relationship with my sister over our grandmother's house. I, a 32-year-old man, am at a complete loss and feel like my entire family dynamic has just imploded. I need to lay this all out, mostly for myself, but also to get some objective opinions because I genuinely don't know if I'm the villain here. My younger sister, Chloe, 29, and I used to be incredibly close, especially when we were kids. We were the classic mischievous duo, always pulling pranks on our parents and conspiring against bedtime. Our bond solidified even more around our grandmother, Nana Rose. She was the cornerstone of our family, a beacon of warmth and unconditional love. Her house, a quaint Victorian filled with antique furniture, musty books, and the constant smell of her famous apple pie, wasn't just a building, it was our sanctuary, the setting for every cherished childhood memory. Nana Rose had a special connection with me. While she loved Chloe dearly, I was her first grandchild, and we shared a deep passion for history and old stories. She'd spend hours telling me about our ancestors, showing me old photographs, and teaching me the proper way to care for her beloved antique rocking chair. I felt a profound sense of responsibility towards her legacy, a feeling that Chloe, always more practical and forward-looking, never quite seemed to grasp. Chloe was often Nana's little helper, assisting with daily chores, whereas I was her storyteller and historian. This created a subtle, unspoken favoritism that, looking back, might have fueled a quiet resentment in Chloe. Despite this, our relationship remained largely harmonious, built on shared childhood experiences and the mutual adoration for our grandmother. We assumed that, as adults, our different personalities would complement each other, especially when it came to carrying on Nana's traditions. We never explicitly discussed her will, but it was always understood that her house, her most significant asset, would be left equally to both of us. It was to be a shared legacy, a place where future generations of our family could gather, just as we had. The emotional tone was one of deep familial love, tinged with an underlying tension of differing values and Chloe's occasional feeling of being overshadowed. My parents were always busy with their careers, leaving much of our upbringing, particularly during summers, to Nana. Her house was our second home, a place of freedom and comfort that contrasted sharply with our parents' more structured environment. I learned carpentry in Nana's garage, helped her tend her rose garden, and spent countless evenings listening to her wisdom. These experiences ingrained in me a deep sentimental attachment to the house itself, seeing it as a living testament to Nana's love and the family history it contained. Chloe, on the other hand, saw it primarily as a place of fun, a playground for our childhood antics. While she enjoyed the warmth, her focus was always on the present moment, rarely dwelling on the past or its significance. This fundamental difference in how we valued the house, me seeing it as a cherished heirloom, she as a potential asset, was the first fissure in our supposedly unbreakable bond, though either of us recognized its true depth until much later. This difference in perception would become the core of the conflict, as my emotional investment clashed directly with her practical outlook, leading to a catastrophic breakdown of our relationship. The slow, agonizing build-up to the inevitable conflict began almost immediately after Nana Rose passed away, a little over a year ago. Her death was devastating for both of us, but our grieving processes, and our visions for her house, diverged sharply. While I found solace in revisiting old memories within its walls, Chloe's first thought was practical. What do we do with the house? She started talking about its market value, the cost of upkeep, and the potential for a quick sale to help us move forward. I was aghast. The idea of selling Nana's sanctuary, just months after her passing, felt like a profound betrayal of her memory. I envisioned turning it into a family retreat, perhaps even living there myself, renovating it slowly, respecting its history. I suggested we could rent it out to cover expenses, or simply hold on to it, allowing time for our grief to settle and for a more considered decision. Chloe dismissed these ideas as impractical, sentimental nonsense. "It's a huge liability, not a museum, Liam," she'd say, her voice laced with an exasperated tone that became increasingly common. The emotional distance between us grew with each conversation about the house. Disagreements escalated from polite debates to sharp exchanges. I felt like she was incapable of understanding my deep emotional connection to the place, while she saw me as being irrationally stuck in the past, holding on to an unprofitable sentiment. The subtle betrayals began almost immediately. Without consulting me, Chloe started bringing real estate agents through the house, getting appraisals, and even talking to contractors about minor repairs that would make it more marketable. I'd only find out about these visits by accident, usually from a nosy neighbor or a stray email from a real estate agent addressed to the property owners. When I confronted her, she'd shrug it off. "I was just doing some research, Liam. What's the big deal? We need to be realistic." The "we" felt hollow, as if I were merely a passive observer in a decision that was fundamentally ours. These were the early warning signs, flashing red flags that I desperately tried to ignore. Her phone calls became less about checking in on me and more about pushing her agenda. She'd bring up our parents, mentioning how Mom and Dad agree the house is a burden, or everyone thinks selling is the smart thing to do. This manipulation, using our parents as leverage, deeply hurt me. I tried to explain that Nana had expressed wishes for the house to remain in the family, but Chloe would scoff. "She never put that in writing, did she? It's just sentimentality." She started talking about her financial needs, student loans, a down payment for her own apartment, implying that my reluctance to sell was directly hindering her future. The pressure was relentless. Every conversation, every family dinner, inevitably circled back to the house. The tension became palpable, a heavy cloud hanging over our once light-hearted sibling relationship. I felt increasingly isolated, watching her systematically dismantle a legacy that meant the world to me, all while I was powerless to stop it. This simmering resentment, fueled by her dismissiveness and unilateral actions, built up inside me, waiting for the smallest spark to ignite. The powder keg finally exploded last Saturday. I had driven over to Nana's house, as I often did, just to sit in the quiet, soak in the memories, and feel close to her. As I walked up the familiar path, I saw a "for sale" sign hammered into the front lawn. Not a "coming soon" or "under contract," but a full-blown, bright red "for sale" sign with a realtor's number. My blood ran cold. Chloe hadn't said a word to me about this. Not a text, not a call, nothing. This was beyond a subtle betrayal. This was a blatant, calculated disregard for my wishes, our agreement, and the very foundation of our relationship. I felt a surge of incandescent rage, a hot, searing anger that consumed every rational thought. I immediately called Chloe, my voice shaking with fury. "What the hell is this, Chloe?" I yelled, barely controlling myself. "The for sale sign? You put a for sale sign on Nana's house without telling me?" There was a brief silence on the other end, then her voice, icy calm. "Oh, that? Yeah, the realtor just put it up this morning. I was going to call you later." "You were going to call me later?" I roared, my voice echoing in the empty house. "We own this together. You can't just unilaterally decide to sell it. What about our agreement? What about Nana's wishes?" "Agreement? What agreement?" she scoffed. "Nana didn't put anything about keeping the house and the family in her will, Liam. It's half mine. And frankly, I need the money. I've told you this a million times. You're being completely unreasonable and selfish, clinging to some sentimental fantasy." "Selfish?" I retorted, my voice cracking. "I'm selfish? I'm the one who spent every summer helping Nana fix up this house. I'm the one who cared about her stories, her legacy. You just saw this place as a piggy bank. You're desecrating her memory for a quick buck." My words were harsh, fueled by years of pent-up frustration and the gut-wrenching feeling of being utterly disrespected. Chloe's tone hardened further. "Don't you dare accuse me of not caring about Nana! I spent countless hours here too, doing actual work, helping her with groceries, doctor's appointments, while you were off in your own head, playing historian. You're just jealous that I'm actually practical and moving forward with my life, while you're stuck in the past." I'm not stuck in the past, Chloe, I'm trying to honor it. I yelled, tears of frustration welling up. This isn't just a house, it's Nana. It's our childhood. It's our family history. How can you just throw it away like it's nothing? It's a financial burden, Liam. And I need my half. I have student loans, a life to build. You're holding me back. You've always been so impractical, so wrapped up in your little dreams, while I had to deal with reality. You want to live in a museum? Go buy your own. Her words cut deep, striking at the core of my insecurities. She was right. I was perhaps overly sentimental. But her dismissal felt cruel, a deliberate attempt to invalidate my feelings and contributions. Fine. I spat, my voice hoarse. Sell it. But don't expect me to sign anything until I've found a lawyer. And don't ever talk to me again. I hung up, my hand shaking so violently I nearly dropped the phone. The house, which had always felt like a warm embrace, now felt cold and desolate, mirroring the chasm that had just opened between my sister and me. It was a brutal, no-holds-barred fight, where years of unspoken resentments and differing values finally collided. Both of us had our motivations, twisted by pain and perceived slights, leaving behind a wreckage of a relationship. The immediate aftermath of that phone call was a chilling, absolute silence. No texts from Chloe, no calls from our parents trying to mediate, just an echoing void where our relationship used to be. The rage that had consumed me during the arguments slowly gave way to a profound, aching grief. I drove away from Nana's house, the for sale sign a stark monument to the broken trust between us, and felt a wave of nausea wash over me. When I got home, I just sat in my living room, staring blankly ahead, unable to process the magnitude of what had just happened. My sister, my childhood confidant, had effectively declared war on me, not just over a house, but over our very core values and our shared history. The anger would flare up in short, intense bursts, reliving her dismissive tone, her cruel words, her blatant disregard for my feelings. But mostly, it was a pervasive sadness. It felt like I hadn't just lost a sister, but a significant piece of my past, my connection to Nana, and the future I always envisioned for our family. The sense of betrayal was overwhelming. It wasn't just about the money or the house, but about the casual way she obliterated years of shared memories and a bond one thought was unbreakable. Guilt also started to creep in, an insidious whisper suggesting I was too harsh, too rigid, too sentimental. Did I push her too far? Was my attachment to the house unreasonable? Could I have found a different way to compromise, to prevent this scorched earth scenario? These questions gnawed at me, robbing me of sleep and peace. My daily life became a blur of routine. I went to work, but my focus was shattered. Conversations felt distant, and I found myself zoning out, replaying the argument, dissecting every word. My appetite vanished, and I felt a constant, dull ache behind my eyes. The conflict seeped into other areas of my life. I avoided family gatherings, knowing that the tension would be unbearable, and that our parents would likely side with Chloe, framing me as the impractical one, or the emotional one. My few attempts to talk to my parents about it were met with platitudes. You both just need to cool off. Or, family is family, you'll work it out. Their inability to truly acknowledge my pain, or Chloe's role in the conflict, felt like yet another layer of isolation. It was as if I was screaming into a void, unheard and unseen. I started having vivid dreams about Nana, where she would walk through her house, her face etched with sadness, asking why her home was no longer a place of joy. These dreams would wake me up in a cold sweat, intensifying the guilt. I realized the emotional toll was immense. The idea of losing my sister, of having our shared past irrevocably tainted, was a heavy burden. I craved the comfort of our old bond, even as I recognized that the person I thought Chloe was, might have been an illusion all along. The pain of this realization was almost as debilitating as the argument itself, leaving me adrift in a sea of anger, grief, and profound confusion about who my sister truly was, and who I was without her. It's been a month since the fight, and the silence between Chloe and me is absolute. Not a single word. Our parents have tried to nudge us towards reconciliation, but their attempts feel half-hearted and always carry the implicit message that I should be the one to back down, to be the bigger person. I've spent countless sleepless nights replaying every word of our confrontation, every subtle betrayal leading up to it, and every memory of Nana's house. I'm questioning everything, my actions, my priorities, even my fundamental understanding of family. Was I too extreme? Did I truly escalate the situation beyond repair by refusing to compromise on the house? I understand Chloe's practical motivations. She has student loans, she wants to buy her own place, and selling the house would give her a significant sum. From her perspective, my attachment might seem irrational, an obstacle to her financial freedom. Perhaps she genuinely doesn't understand the depth of my sentimental connection, viewing it purely as an asset to be liquidated. Maybe she believes I'm being selfish by holding on to an emotional ideal when there's a tangible financial benefit at stake. Is my love for Nana's memory, for the idea of preserving that legacy, just a childish fantasy? On the other hand, I feel deeply betrayed. The house wasn't just a house. It was a symbol of Nana's love and our shared history. Her unilateral decision to put it on the market, after years of me feeling sidelined and unheard regarding its future, felt like a personal attack. It was the culmination of years of her dismissiveness towards my feelings and her tendency to prioritize her own needs without consultation. I genuinely believed we would find a way to honor Nana's memory with the house, perhaps by renting it out or turning it into a family trust, a place for all of us. Was it wrong of me to expect her to value sentiment over immediate financial gain, especially when it came to something so deeply connected to our beloved grandmother? So, Reddit, I'm genuinely asking, AITA here? Am I wrong for prioritizing the sentimental value of my grandmother's house over the practical financial benefits of selling it? Was my outburst justified, or did I simply burn the bridge because I couldn't get my way? Is there any hope of repairing this relationship, or is it irrevocably broken because our core values are just too different? I need objective perspectives, because right now, all I feel is confusion, guilt, and a profound sadness over the loss of my sister.